Hello, Houston. This is Jason Hammond, the Life Science Educator and the Science Outreach Manager here at the Children's Museum Houston. And I'm here today to do a wonderfully fun experiment about neurons. And I'm able to do this experiment because Texas Children's Hospital has sponsored me to do this experiment. So we are right now inside our Power Science Lab, which is sponsored by the Texas Children's Hospital. And I'm going to first show you what a neuron is using a really cool fancy model. And then I'm going to show you how you can make your own neuron at home using very simple materials. So let's go take a look at that model. Okay, so here's our fancy model of a neuron. And a neuron is a very specialized cell located inside your brain. Now, the neuron does have the same components as other cells, but it has a lot more that we need to talk about so you understand how they're a little bit different than the other cells. Inside your body right now, there are 216 different types of cells. And that ranges from everything from the cells in your skin, the cells in your hair, the cells in your eyes, your heart, your lungs, all that stuff. But neurons, because they're part of your brain, are some of the more important cells in your body. So let's take a look at this neuron, and then we're going to build one ourselves. So right here, this is called the soma. And the soma is the cell body of the neuron, and it looks very much like the cell you might have seen in a book before with the different organelles that you might have read about or even seen before, like through a microscope. You have a nucleus in here, you have the mitochondria, you have the rough endoplasmic reticulum with the ribosomes inside, you have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now, I'm not going to talk about what all those parts do because in a later video, I'm going to talk about what all those parts do. But I just want you all to know that this neuron has the cell components that other cells has, but it has a whole lot more. First of all, you have these little pieces right here, these little branches. These are called dendrites. Dendrites are part of the cell that receives messages. So basically what a neuron is doing is as you look out into the world, your environment, you will notice lots of different things. Like right now I'm looking at all kinds of stuff. But the only thing that my neurons want to register in my brain are the things that are most important. So these dendrites will connect to another part of the neuron called the synaptic terminal, and those messages will be sent throughout the different levels of neurons inside your brain. Just so you know, you have about 86 billion neurons in your brain. That's an average. Some people have more, some people have less. Doesn't mean you're any smarter or anything if you have less neurons. It just means your brain's probably just a little bit smaller. Now, extending from the soma, the cell body, you have the axon right here, which is basically like a long sort of tube-looking thing. This blue part is the axon right here. Now, surrounding the axon is the myelin sheath. The myelin sheath is actually what protects the axon as messages are being sent through down to the synaptic terminal from the cell body and the dendrites. We opened up our myelin sheath right here so you can see these Schwann cells inside. There is some debate among scientists what Schwann cells do, but one thing that most of them agree on is that if there is some sort of damage to the axon, the Schwann cells will activate into action to repair that damage. Now, we really don't have a good visual of the synaptic terminal, but it's like a little ball at the end of the neuron here. And when we make our own neuron, we'll be able to see that much clearer. So, since most of you do not have a fancy model like this, let's go ahead and make our much easier neuron so you can show your friends and family all the different pieces and what they're about. Okay, so to make your neuron at home, you need very few things. You need 5 pipe cleaners of different colors, and you need a pair of scissors. That's all you need. Now, each pipe cleaner is going to represent a different part of the neuron, not absolutely everything, but enough of the stuff so you get an idea. So to start, you just need to have the axon body, the long piece I talked about on the model, and I'm just going to choose one and set it down right here. Okay, so there's your axon body. Not much to do with that. Now, the next one I'm going to choose out is going to be this yellow pipe cleaner, and that's going to be the cell body. And that's the one where I told you had like the mitochondria inside, it had the nucleus, the nucleosis, the rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, all that good stuff. And when you do that, all you got to do is just really just kind of wrap it into like a loose ball. Just wrap it into a loose ball. So it looks a little bit like a cell. Okay. Now you want it loose for a reason, and you'll see that reason soon. And then just take the axon, push it through, and you can tie it off. All right, so far so good. Now the next piece we're going to do are the dendrites. And we're going to take this green one here, and to make the dendrites, we're going to have to cut it. Now some people like to use a ruler and cut it into like 6 equal pieces. Some people like to cut them into smaller pieces. The way I'm going to show you is a little bit easier because I just fold it in half so that each side meets the other, like this. And then I just cut the bottom right here. Boom. And then I do it again, and I cut it again, and then I do it again, and I cut it again, and then guess what? I do it 4 more times. Now, because there's a metal wire inside of here, you're gonna have to, use a pretty good pair of scissors to get them cut. Don't have your scissors be dull. But this way you get pretty much equal pieces. So all your dendrites are the same size. All right, there we go. 8 dendrites right there. Now, what am I going to do with my dendrites? I'm going to put them, like you saw in the model, into the cell body. That's why you want it loose, so you can stick them in and then tie them off so they don't fall out. And then you want to make them look like little branches. There we go. So there's one, and you can like bend them around so they look branchy, and you can put them wherever you want because there's no real rhyme or reason for why the dendrites are placed where they are. But they are here to receive messages. There we go. Come on, you. There we go. Get some over here. And then we have the little axons all over, little dendrites all over the place. Okay? So far so good. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the myelin sheath, which I'm going to use this blue one. And that one's pretty easy to do. You just start it on one side of the axon body, and then you wrap it around. And you want to try to use the length of the entire pipe cleaner, but if you have some at the end, just cut it off. And then you can see like the Schwann cells that I opened up can sort of be opened up here too. So you can see the Schwann cells within the axon there. One more piece, and that's going to be, some people call it the axon terminal, some scientists call it the synaptic terminal, because that's how messages are sent across. They're sent across through what we call synapses, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute. But to make that, you want a tight ball. You want it really tight. So it looks a little different from the one on the end. So you just wrap it up into a tight little ball. And then you just get it in here somehow. You just push it in if you can. Or a lot of times what I do is I leave a piece open so I can tie it in. And then just wrap it around. And there you go. There is your neuron. And I will explain some more about the neuron right now. Okay, so now we have our cell model done. You can make more than one of these. Obviously, you don't think you probably can make 86 billion, but you can make 10, 20, 30 of them, so you can sort of get the idea of how these work. Just to remind you, the purplish one here is the axon, the blue one is the myelin sheath, the black one back here is the synaptic or axon terminal, the green ones are the dendrites, and the yellow one's the cell body, the soma, which has the organelles that you might have heard of, the nucleus, the mitochondria, the Golgi bodies, etc., etc. Now, once again, you have 86 billion of these in your brain, and what are they doing? Well, again, they are gathering the information like the external stimulus, some internal stimulus, emotional responses and whatnot inside your brain. And what they do is generally the dendrites will get a message from the synaptic terminal or send a message to the synaptic terminal, or dendrites will connect with dendrites. There's still a lot of debate exactly how they send the messages, but it has something to do with the synaptic terminal and the dendrites over here. And they'll send the message, and it'll send it to more than one of the neurons. It'll send it through a series of neurons, and it happens in this split microsecond. It's just very, very quick. Your brain is very efficient, and these neurons do their job also very efficiently, so that when you have some sort of external stimulus or internal stimulus or emotional response to something, it's pretty immediate. Like me right now moving my arm, that is because my neurons are saying, yeah, go ahead, move your arm. They're sending messages down my spine, which is part of the central nervous system, which is allowing me to move my arm as I speak. So your neurons are firing all the time these synapses, these messages to each other to A, give out information that you need, but also to filter away information that may not be necessary right now. There are some scientists who think that a lot of times when you dream about something, it's because your neurons are dumping that information, and then all of a sudden these images hit your head and you have dreams, almost like dormant memories coming up. They do say, a lot of scientists, that any person in your dream is someone you have seen before. You may not recognize them, but your neurons took note of them. So these are very, very important cells, and we need to keep them safe, happy, and sending synapses. Okay, so there's a fun little activity you can do at home. It doesn't take very long, it doesn't take a lot of materials, and you can learn a lot from this, and you can teach people a lot from this. So here is your neuron model. I encourage you to make as many as you want. Again, all you need is 5 different color pipe cleaners and a pair of scissors, and it'll get you in your mind that there's more than one of these inside your brain. I know they look big here, but they are nano size. And with that, I'd like to say goodbye and farewell, and I hope to see you here soon at the Children's Museum Houston. I hope you are all doing well, and have a nice day. Bye.